For those of you that don't know, there's a good question in the chat about delegating, holding agents accountable, conversion rates, like lead caps. Like, can you do a minute of just like, how'd you think about that? Is there a technology or system that you felt like really helped that? Any insights?
Yeah, I have not been managing my real estate team directly for some time. So all of the coolest kid technology that's out there today is probably well beyond me. But what I did is the very first thing I did was I realized that what I was doing, it's going from, what Gary Keller calls going from E to P, going from entrepreneurial to purposeful. I had built a system that worked really well, but I built the system for myself and I was running it myself. And I was very accountable to myself. And so once I started putting other people in the game, I started to realize that I don't have a full system that other people can play to. And so, man, I developed the rules of the pipeline. That's what I initially called it. And so the rules of the pipeline were like, how long, what are the statuses? What has to be true for a lead to be in that status? How long can a lead be in that status for? All those types of things. And I had it was like the 10 commandments. And then what I did is I hired somebody and I literally gave her a sheriff's badge. And I said, you're the pipeline police and your job is to manually audit these rules. And of course she came in, that was 8 years ago. She actually runs my real estate team today. But she came in and, at first she did exactly what I told her to do manually, but over time she got a lot smarter. She created automation and she used the basic tools that existed. We wasted tons of money trying to build out our own stuff. And, I cannot even tell you the amount of money that I wasted trying to overcomplicate things. But just having one person who just basically managed, there's playmakers and game managers. I was kind of the playmaker. I'm figured out generally what we need to do, how it needs to look, got everything kind of up there. But you've got to have somebody that's able to manage the system over time to make sure there's consistency. And when I finally had that person and that person was managing the system and making sure that we had pipeline cleanliness and that we had an actual game, because you get a CRM and you think that, at least I used to think that, the CRM must have a way that it's supposed to go. And what I realized is a CRM is built for functionality, but you have to decide how you're going to use it and what the standards are around how it's going to be used and all those pieces. And so once I finally realized, okay, we're going to concretely decide what those standards are and have somebody manage to that thing, it started to drive consistency to a game that other people could play to. And that's when I was able to actually get my team really into performance mode, where I had, maybe 2014, 2015. I mean, I had probably 7 or 8 agents that were all doing, 40 to 60 units a year, pretty consistently. It was a small team, it was a tight knit team, but everyone was following the same system, doing the same things, held to the same standards. I look back at that time and that was a glory days for the Heil Group, for my real estate team, because as we got bigger and moved into expansion, we started tripping over ourselves. And this is another lesson, by the way. Well, I'll say two lessons that I learned because I got it right myself, and then I built it into a little team and messed it all up, and then I got it right again and had a high performing team, and then I started to expand and I messed it all up again. Basically, every level I messed it all up and had to sort of redo it. But one of the things that I know to be true is, at least for a real estate team goes, don't hire more. There's a brokerage model and there's a team model. And a brokerage model is all about agent count. How many agents can you bring on? Because they all have their own books of business and you'll do more deals if you bring on more agents. But a real estate team, a pure real estate team, it's not that. It's about how many leads do you have? How many quality leads do you have? And that should determine how many agents you bring in. And of course, most teams are a hybrid of the two. But what I learned is, number one, don't hire more agents than you have quality leads to service, because it will create challenges. It will, at least for me, what it did was I as we went into expansion mode, I started bringing on all these agents and I didn't realize what I was doing, but let's say my quality lead count was here. And I used to have this many agents, and then I had this many, and maybe my quality lead count was going up, but all of a sudden I had this many agents and this much quality lead count. And so now I had pressure around the splits that I was paying because everybody wasn't getting enough love on deals. I had questions around the whole culture of the business started to be put in question. And then I started giving in. I started giving in a little bit here and a little bit there. And I looked up a couple of years later and the whole thing was a mess because I had changed who we are and the business had an identity crisis because we had changed who we are. And I went from 100 agents down to 30 agents. I ended up reducing the team. This must have been back in 2017, probably. I went from 100 agents down to 30. And the year we had 30 agents, we outperformed what we did with 100 agents. And that is when I got back to who we were. That's when we got back to who we were. And since then, that was in 2017. We now today have about 100 agents and we're doing 4 times the business, maybe 5 times the business. I think last year they did 20 million in gross commission income as a real estate team. And I think when we had that same count of agents in 2017, we must have been doing like 5. So, we had to figure out how to get back to our roots, and our roots were based around a sales process and not around hiring agents for them to come in with their own books of business. It was about us developing leads, qualifying those leads, handing them to agents, and everybody following the same sales process. And so we finally got back to that, and the team has done a great job since then.